Welcome back to Voices of Impact, the space where we explore leadership beyond titles, strategies, and surface level success, and step into the inner alignment that creates real influence, freedom, and legacy. So today's conversation is one I've been deeply looking forward to. So my guest is Aude Firmin, an internationally acclaimed intuitive leadership coach, Reiki master, psychic medium, and business strategist who's redefining what leadership looks like in this next era. So before stepping fully into her intuitive work, she spent over a decade in elite global consulting, partnering with brands like Microsoft, Gucci, Publicis, and Trainline, which is amazing. She understands high-stakes environments, pressure, and performance, and what it costs leaders to stay disconnected from themselves. So what makes her work so powerful is that she doesn't separate intuition from strategy. She integrates it, right? She doesn't treat energy as soft. She helps leaders across intuition as intelligence, and alignment as competitive advantage. So we both align in our belief that leadership doesn't require hustle, self-sacrifice, or burnout. We don't believe in that hustle culture. It requires presence, clarity, and the courage to trust your inner knowing. So if you're a leader who looks successful on the outside and you're happy, but internally something just feels disconnected, or you're just at crossroads, this conversation is really for you. So welcome to your Voices of Impact. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Vina.
So your story, basically, you've spent years at elite consulting before stepping into intuitive leadership work. What was happening internally that signaled it was time for something different?
Yeah, thank you for this question. Well, I was very successful on paper in this corporate and technology environment, and especially as a woman, be at director level and earning a 6K figures. In terms of emotional stability, mental health, and spiritual wellness, I was really shattered. And for literally more than a decade, pretty much every 6 just. So yes, it was a very challenging time for me. And when where I was educated in a Parisian family, not spiritual at all. It was just the road. So I was already having the success, and it was this or nothing. But I discovered along the way that there was another way to find myself and redefine what is success.
Amazing, amazing. I can relate to everything because we're not taught, right? Society has taught us one way, our family, we didn't come from that, and we had to kind of learn on our own by going through that personal growth journey. So that's amazing. So what did your corporate career? I know you worked in corporate for a while, which is amazing, but what did it teach you about true power? Because I know that's like a huge thing that keeps coming up that power is really about dominance.
Yeah, a really good question. In corporate environment, in France, in Europe, UK, and probably in the US, they tell us that success power is all about having power domination, being always right, not needing anyone, getting like the profit for ourselves, and yet screwing people up. The employee being screwed up by the management. And that's what I saw in all my projects from Microsoft to whatever, is like this big misalignment between the top and the bottom.
Right.
But it's the same. What I understood is we are all human beings. We all want to work in an environment when we are absolutely ourselves, when we are recognized for our individuality, and when we are able to trust. And trust in companies is the biggest challenge. But what I saw, and very few people as an example of power in these companies, was the ability to tap into the feminine energy, even as men, meaning to help people to connect to their sensitivity, their vulnerability, and lead from there. Being the example of being like, this is a challenging time. Let's not call each other family, because we're not a family. Let's stop this bullshit. But this is where we are. This is a resource we have, and yes, it can be challenging, but we can do it and open the voices instead of shutting them down. And again, every time there is a new leader, firing everyone and starting from scratch. Every time I was so surprised how much money I were losing just because of that, and trust as well.
I love how you say, like, just kind of getting honest with yourself, like stopping the BS, getting honest with yourself. That is really key, and just understanding where each person is coming from, right? And like leading with empathy. And getting into that, like, what did it take for you to fully step into the feminine? Because I know, like, I've struggled and now I'm getting there, but it's a work in progress. But what did it take for you to fully trust and integrate your intuitive and spiritual gifts, whether that's in corporate or even now in your business?
Well, it took a lot of life force energy and challenges, and that's why I teach this today, because I hope people don't go through the same journey I did, and I know so many do, but it took a lot of burnout, medication, depression, anxiety, even suicide attempt, so it's like I am embodying hopefully the person I was looking for all my life, who will tell me, you know what, you have an immense power. Following logic and strategy sometimes or often puts you in the same cycle. And the best way to break the cycle, change your patterns, and really live the life you want on your own terms and not what society is defining as success, is by following your intuition, which is your inner guidance, which is, for people who are spiritual or religious, the voice of God. And we are all spiritual beings. Again, we don't need to believe in spirituality. It is who we are. We have a spirit,
Right.
soul, body, and mind.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really about, like you said, just really trusting in universe. That could be the God. For me, it's God, universe, letting it go. And that comes into my next question, that especially in corporate, right? They have to finish tasks, like a lot of, high performing leaders, right? So when leading with intuition, like how can you either build if you're a CEO or a corporate leader? So what does it mean to like let go and just kind of lead from alignment instead of control? Because we tend to like control the outcomes and plan it out, and that's happening corporate as an executive. So it's very hard to kind of go back in. But what does it mean? How would you do that?
Yeah, great question again. Very insightful for everyone. Look at how people work in corporate. They're having benchmark of data, analysis, strategy, planning, financial forecast, which is great. But at the end of the day, people make a decision often out of intuition. Or intuition has a bigger space that they want to recognize. So again, you analyze 4 candidates for a job. They're like, yeah, they're great. But then like, I really feel this person will be good. So we are already, without knowing about it, without being aware, using intuition in conjunction with logic and strategy. And that's the thing, it's like following your intuition doesn't mean to not be logical. It's just like being a risk open enough to be like, oh, it feels like this. And what is the mitigation? Can I buy this house even if I may not have the budget, but it feels right? And know that the things are going to come for me. And at the same time, have a contingency plan in case it doesn't work. And the more we trust, the bigger the abundance we receive. It's incredible in corporate or whatever business.
Right. And I can relate to every one of that, even in my own life right now. So I was like the high performing, I had to control every outcome. That's what I was used to. That's what my family would say, like plan everything out. But now I just leave it, right? I trust my intuition. Everything that I do is like, hey, does this feel right? If I don't want to do something, I don't do it, right? And it's coming from those like cycles of energy. Feminine energy is really about listening into what drains you, what energizes you, and leaving it to the fact that the universe is amazing. It's magical, that, the universe will bring it to you the more you have faith. Right. So faith over fear is something that's a huge message that I want to put out there, because we really focus on fear, especially corporates, right? Immediately we're into like fear mode. What's going to happen with my job? What if I lose stability? Right. So when it comes to abundance, so where do you see leaders unintentionally blocking abundance? Especially if you go into specifics around money, worth, and women especially, because a lot of the things I've done is I've done vision sessions for corporate leaders, and what they truly desire is very different from what they're actually embodying right now. It's okay to have recognition, but at the same time, it's like the heart and the mind are not coordinated. So, what do you see leaders are blocking unintentionally? What's going on there?
Yeah. Like, especially when you are part of a big company, when I was working, for example, at Trainline, I was under the pressure of leading a team that was not, I didn't want to lead it in the way I wanted. I was at some point leading 5 teams, so up to nearly 100 people. But on the top, my managers or managers of manager will tell me, we want this now, things that will put a lot of pressure, creating chaos, mistrust. We need to be compassionate with managers as well, because it's so easy to point the finger and say, oh, they're bad and we're good or whatever. Everyone is trying their best, but they're also in an ecosystem, everyone. It doesn't matter if you work with an independent team, if the top is not in alignment, it's not going to ripple. So again, it's creating an environment of trust where people are open enough to consider a new way of working, to be vulnerable enough to say, okay, this is working, this is not working, what do I need? And talk to each other. In corporates, unfortunately, a lot of people are wearing masks. They are not themselves because they have to be the CEO, the director. But at the end of the day, everyone is suffering like I was suffering, and everyone wants to do things differently, but they don't think they can, or they have the capacity or the environment for. So that's why your work and my work are so important.
Right, exactly. And I just love what you talked about. Getting into the next question, because the decisions made at the top and the managers have to be vulnerable. And there's a lot of masks. And these are unspoken truths that a lot of people don't talk about. And even what I do is I'm always the kind of person, like we both are, the kind of people who want to see that potential, right? It's really where the blind spots are. And one of them is that fear of vulnerability. So there's a lot of misalignment. So getting into the next question of, as you talked about, internally they're disconnected, and that's what's causing that misalignment. A lot of people think, I see some people say it's the different timing, it's the market, but it's really the internal. So how do you help them return and see that, return to their presence and truth? Like, what are some like tools you use, processes you use to make them understand, like, hey, like slow down, listen to your voice that's telling you something?
Yeah, a good question. So I like to work on 2 levels, in one-to-one with the manager plus at group level, because someone who is in a group dynamic is not going to be the same than in one-to-one. And the tool I use is a mix of things. There is spiritual life coaching that helps people to recognize their patterns. And again, how much traumas, not even with brackets, how much traumas, how much family projection we bring to our job. We expect again the manager to be our mommy or daddy and fix our whole life. No, we are here to do our job. So, having a clear idea of every little piece that are going on. And often people are in this subconscious and conscious thing and project on people. Is it a projection? Is it a reality, etc.? So going through all these parts, and even like the shame, we were talking about stress. Stress is often like, you have a deadline, and then you have something from shame, from childhood that is coming up, and that's what it derails everything. That's where you have violent communication through emails and passive aggressivity. Then there is the element of cultivating intuition. So once you understand like the chaos, then the intuition helps you to go through the storm, and also being with the body. Or like Reiki or meditation, that again helps you to have a clearer view, decondensate the emotional intensity, are for me like biggest tools. And this is what I call intuitive business coaching. All these different aspects is very holistic, but it's also very strategic. And I've seen that people can psychically channel their business strategy, which is much more efficient than just looking at it for hours and again missing the whole plot.
Yeah, and like you said, it's really that energetic piece that kind of gets you back.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. Like it's just kind of really getting honest with yourself. I just keep coming back to this. So corporate leaders, so I do have a question that keeps coming up. So what if you were to like, there are spiritual type of corporate leaders, but say the corporate leaders haven't done personal growth as much. So I do understand like there's a lot of fears that get in the way, right? There's obstacles and there needs to be inner work done, but maybe they don't know what subconscious reprogramming is because like for mine, I know what it is, right? So if you're talking to leaders who are listening right now, what would you say to a non like spiritual corporate leader? Like if
Yeah.
they want to slow down, because there's one thing like we know, but there's language that they're like, I see what you're saying, but I don't really understand how to get there. Like they're just so new to this.
And Vina, even like when you say people have to be honest with themselves, people think they are honest. People think they are doing their best, and they
Right.
do with the information they have. But once you start opening them up, they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize it. And this is where they have a breakthrough. So I work with a lot of people who have no idea what it's meant to have a psychic reading or spiritual life coaching. What they want is like, and a lot of men as well, what they want is like, okay, my life is not working right now. My business is not working right now. I tried everything. This looks different. And yes, it's different because again, it's using different pathways to get
Yeah.
to very often a better result, much better result. I've worked with more than 900 people, 5-star reviews, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it's not to show off, it's just to say that even if someone is not so-called intuitive, if a man has no idea what is a spiritual life coach or spiritual teacher, we all have these gifts that are just waiting to be activated. So the only thing I ask is be open-minded.
Yeah.
Go on the journey. Something not going to resonate. You'll have some
Right.
triggers, be like, oh no, and curiosity.
Right.
And we go as fast as we want, but often, like the shift is very, very fast, and people just crave this, again, authenticity and honesty.
Yeah.
But they didn't know how to embody it in their life. They were not taught.
Yeah, exactly. Just getting clarity. And I love what you said, just whether it's men or women, just, yes, you're going to get triggered, but that's what transformation's all about, right? Is going into yourself and getting some clarity and seeking it within, everything's within you. And I know a lot of people come to me saying like, how do I do this? How do I do that? But it's really within you. And that's something I had to learn. I was also similar. And now similarly to you, I run my business just with following my intuition. And I've gotten more opportunities and abundance as much as I even imagined, right? So, and we're talking right now. So it's very important to really lead with clarity, right? Having that emotional intelligence piece is very key, rather than just reacting, like respond, just sitting with yourself. And this comes to a lot of women that I see, even in business, it's not, they're always doing. We're always go-getters, just letting yourself be. Just sitting with yourself and not just staring at a wall. Like, just like doing that itself that's what I did this weekend. And it felt so great that I followed my intuition. I feel more energized, right? So going into soul-aligned leadership, and I want to hear it from you, but what does that look like from day to day? Right? Not just conceptually, but day to day at work, day to day in your personal life. Like, how does that look like if you were to kind of paint that picture?
Yes, we live in a society that taught us that busy equally important. So when we learn to slow down, which is not easy, we have often this fear of being inadequate, of doing something wrong or missing out. So it is a real courage of slowing down that you took. Being an embodied, soul-aligned leader, from my perspective and the one of my clients, first is self-care. Really understanding, as you said, the level of energy we have. So taking care of your energy, that it is through yoga, sport, Reiki, whatever resonates with you. Looking at your life and see, am I in alignment with the people, situation, hobby, etc. in different parts of my life? If not, what can I change? Really having responsibility and accountability. And the more you align your life, the more you have energy, the more you have intuition, the more you have abundance. Like, honestly, it's when you look at life through an energetic perspective, it's super, super easy. And you can see as well how, when you, sorry for the language, but where you bullshit yourself. And then there is the law, the law of the mirrors. You'll have people around you that are going to mirror things to you. So again, your employee that is going to really piss you off. Like, what is the message here? Again, you can be the employee, but from an accountability and responsibility perspective, they are mirroring something, a part of you that you may not like. So having this work and also enjoying the process,
Because when you are in the spiritual realm, you can be like always, oh, I want to fix myself, I need to get better. No, chill out as well. Be aware, but experience, be joyful, dance, take risk, and also start living your life from a health perspective, like see people, your colleagues as human beings, you know, because again, from a spiritual perspective, we are all one. So Vina and I, we are one. We may be in different bodies, but it is the same energy. And so it helps to remove, you know, so many leaders feel so lonely and alienated. It helps to really bring people together and feel connected and integrated and be seen. And at the end of the day, that's what people are craving in their business life, their romantic life, etc.
Yeah. And this is excellent. I love how you touch on every single thing. That number one is self-care for sure. So I just literally help others do energy audits, you know, and that has helped corporate leaders and business like audit the energy. And that's exactly what's changed a tremendous difference in, you know, everything. Like like not an alignment, meaning what's draining you. It could be the simplest of things. Like if you're a business owner writing content, do it from a place of joy, not like I have to, right? So if you're not going to want to be available during the holidays, it's okay. It's okay to say no. So making sure that it's not selfish. I know a lot of women think it's like selfish and self-care, and we want to come from a heart-centered place, like you matter and you're important. And also like enjoying the process is definitely one thing that I'd have to say, like she said, right? An alignment with who you're talking to. So around you, the energy around you, all of the people, surroundings, if it's really not aligned to your values, if you value authenticity and you feel like you're talking to someone who's not authentic, then just leave, right? So I personally think of it as alignment over attachment, and that's very key to discernment, right? Discerning, you know, where you're coming from. And that's something that I've been learning now, right? So attachment's more like a trauma bond thing, but alignment's like you're in a healthy place, right? So all of this soul alignment, that's where it's coming from. You're really heart-centered. You're not, some of these things, logic doesn't make sense. Yes, you do need that, but you lead with the heart and then the logic comes in afterwards, which is very different from corporate, which is literally logic and then the heart. So I know we're going in like the opposite directions. So going into our next question. So for leaders who feel called to do something bigger, but they don't know how to begin, like say like, these are totally different, you know, directions that we're talking about, but they understand it like subconsciously. But what would you say, like, where to begin? Like, where should they start?
Yeah. Well, you know, everyone has different soul journey. So, and this is where energy and intention have a massive power, because when I was completely burnt out in corporate, I was praying or meditating and say like, find me a solution, send me something. I'm dying inside. And this is where I came across Reiki, you know, like some random search, people saying Reiki, Reiki. And I saw the picture of my teacher online, and sorry, the dog is barking. And it resonated as true. So our soul knows. We receive messages. We just need to ask. And so people will start with psychic, some people will start with Reiki, some people will start with whatever way. And it's perfect. As long as in your heart it resonates as your truth, it is what matters, you know, and everyone's journey is different, but at the same time very similar, where we lost ourselves, especially as adults. And then we feel a lot of pain and challenges at the end of a cycle until we burst to the next and we go into more alignment. And the more inner alignment we have, the more ripple effect of joy as well. And healing, it resonates on a whole person, a whole team, ancestors, future people. This is where that spiritual work is not selfish. It is literally the root of the healing and abundance for the world. And it's not like, wow, it's big words. No, it's very simple and very deep.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Like literally you're going from complex to simple. And I saw a huge difference in my life. As you can tell, like both of us are very joyful. We love what we do. And that it comes from that work, the energy work, the spiritual work. So, you know, we're kind of embodying that. So we're walking the talk. And I do agree with the intuition. Like you get signals, you get messages. And even now, I get a lot of messages. It comes in different forms from the universe. It could be numbers, it could be songs, it could be just different things. Out of the blue, we connected, right? Like it just aligned, when you talk about like manifestation, right? It's not just a word. You have to really believe in it, and letting go and surrendering is one key, right? So Reiki healing is definitely amazing. I know that I've also registered for a session with you, but it's very important to take even 5 minutes of your time, right? Corporate leaders who are listening or business owners, even if it's like 5 minutes to do an energy practice or meditation, making time for self-care. Having excuses are one thing, like you said, the BS is always there. As coaches, we are gonna like point out that, that's who we are. I loved how you said about mirrors, right? So think of I know some people think that, especially corporate, we get rejection. We take it personally, but it's really a lesson because everyone's a mirror. My own mentor's a mirror, and he tells me things that like, I was like, whoa, it's triggering, but this is something I have to learn, right? And the abundance just kept coming in, right? So these are some very important topics. It's new, but it's needed. It's needed, and you can just have more creativity in your life, and at least a legacy like you talked about. It's a new way of doing it, but you see generations of impact rippling. And this is what, for people who want this, who truly desire this, who are listening, it's doable, right? It's very doable, it's easy, and you'll feel more joyful. So for people who are actually doing it right now, it's amazing. So this is a great conversation. So going into the fun rapid fire round. So let's see. Let me ask you the questions. A daily ritual you never skip. A daily ritual you never skip.
Morning and evening meditation and Reiki, at least. Because as you said, the morning is going to set the tone of the day. So in the past, I will save my 20 minutes or 30 minutes of meditation to sleep more. Because then I will be much more sensitive to what people, events in my life. And so that's why a meditation or even listening to words of affirmation or visualization will help you to ground yourself and to put like the ship in the right direction. Yes, the noise has stopped now. So yeah, and in the evening as well. So it's really, as you said, this energetic hygiene. And I just want to bounce on what you were saying earlier. It's not, we can use spiritual tool. Again, we are spiritual beings. We don't have to change ourselves. We don't have to brand ourselves as spiritual. It's like powers that are within us. And it's a bit like driving a Ferrari, but you drive it as a Twingo. It's like, oh, what a shame. You can really enjoy like a magnificent race and you're like a grandma. So there is this, and it is essential, and you can see it also physically on people, like people who have a really rich spiritual life and know their energy look younger, are more joyful, are more beautiful, and you don't need Botox for this. And if you do Botox, it's fine, but it is like a reverse, being magnetic. And as a woman, as a corporate, as a leader, you want this. Everyone wants it.
Yes, it all comes from within, right? Everyone's like, oh, like you said, Botox, this, that's how I'm going to get better, right? It really isn't. We barely wear makeup. We barely do anything, but it's all, you see the joy, the glow up in our faces. So it's really the internal. We're truly happy and we've done the inner work, but the inner work is necessary to do. And I do want to point that out because people do think it's not and they can get whatever they want. It's definitely a process, but you can enjoy it, right? Just being like learning more about yourself, like 𝗀𝗃, like your gifts. You have so many gifts that you have to tap into, that's sitting in there, and you have to unravel it, but it takes time. But if you're willing to do that, you realize like it's just, wow, like I didn't have this. I didn't even know we had this. And you can use it in corporate, in your relationships, or anything, right? It's beautiful as a woman, especially for females out there. But you would have to be willing to, like I said, back to square of getting honest with yourself and tapping into that. So amazing. Yes, the meditation is definitely, it's an energetic thing. It's not a logic thing, right? So also one thing that I've also learned, it's not an external, right? Even though your external might be the same, it's the internal first. When your internal changes, your external changes after that. It doesn't matter if it's looks or job or career, whatever it's anything, right? So it's not the other way around. That's amazing. And for you, what's next for you? Programs or global work or visions you're calling in?
Yeah, very exciting year ahead. 2025 was really to connect with people internationally, with clients in Dubai, Los Angeles, Africa, all over the world, working with investors and holistic projects. So being like the matchmaker of empowering the right people and giving direction. I'm writing my book about my journey and teaching I want to share with the world, growing my podcasts. And there is this aspect of like having international speaking conferences and programs. So yeah, I won't be bored, but I will also take the time to always go in and tune in, because yes, I could live my life like a crazy headless chicken. What I'm doing is always following the prompt. So I'm achieving a lot, and that's also what we can say. When you follow the intuitive prompt, you are so much more productive and impactful than when you work 5 hours and you are in a fear mode. So that's why people are like, how many people are working on this business? But yeah, I'm so excited, and I'm surrounded like with beautiful people like you, and get a good reminder that when you have the intention of creating a community all over the world, the right people will find you in a way you don't even, you're like, how did I meet Vida? You know, it is so cool. This is amazing.
It is.
And that's the most beautiful thing, to be able to talk to someone you fully resonate with.
Right. Yeah. No, this is great. And I love the work you're doing. I mean, when the first time I met Aude was like recently, not even a few days ago, right? And we're already so resonating with each other. The energy is like, magical. It's just like you talked about community. It's so cool, right? Like, at times when you're just very joyful, like really focusing on your purpose, right? Just serving. And that's, as business owners, we're not about, of course, there is about like, hey, we want generational wealth, but we don't think of it as money as like that. It's more wealth, financial freedom, but our first thing is heart-centered service.
Yeah.
Right. It's all about serving. And it's something that I feel like it makes me feel fulfilled. And same with Aude, and just helping beautiful people who, having a more healing life, right? Especially in this chaotic world. So the leaders remembered one thing from your work. What would you want it to be? Or what message do you want to share from your work?
Yeah, the message is your deepest dreams are possible. You can work less, more aligned, more impactful, with more abundance, returning to this childlike joy that you can see on Vina's and my face, and just receive amazing creative input and be like, wow. And this really helps change the world, change society, change your level. Again, as Vina was saying, it comes from inside. It means going through a journey of facing your deepest fears, but man, women, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's like you fear the dragon, and then the dragon is your friend.
Right.
Right. Inner child who's like, no, I just want to go back to these prince and princesses and Indiana Jones. And this is what life is about. Life is not about just you work, you wait until your retirement, then you have 1 year to spend it on holiday, and then you die. No, like just wake up. There is another world that is possible. You don't need to be a spiritual guru. You don't need to be in trouble of money. You can have it all. You can have it all. And we are the example, like many. And we are all powerful. It's not like, oh, I'm a great spiritual teacher and you are not. We are all spiritual teachers of each other, and we deserve this love and abundance, and we shouldn't be afraid of claiming our power back.
Yes. I love this message, claiming your power back, right? So I would say reclaiming it and going within, right? It's everyone is powerful. And I love how you said that. And power is not, dominance. We're not talking about that. This is soul leadership, that everyone has the power here. You would have to tap into it and bring that to light, right? Bring out that inner child in whatever way. And it's not like a process that needs to be rushed. We are here to enjoy it. And we think, like you said, it's a retirement or finish line. That's not what it is. We're used to that hustle culture here. We're rebels. We're mission-driven rebels. We don't follow the crowd, but we're thriving, we're in abundance. If you're watching this and want to be like us, please connect with Aude. Like, she's amazing. Totally recommend her. We're going to be creating communities and doing some more collaborations together. We'd love for you guys to listen in and join in. So this conversation was expansive and grounding, a powerful reminder that, again, leadership is not just beginning with strategy. It begins with self-trust, right? You have to trust yourself. And we all get caught up in the how and the when, to leave that to the universe. You enjoy the process. You enjoy the gifts, the feminine energy, right, that the universe has given you, right? So the one thing I hope listeners take away is that you do not have to hustle, or disconnect from your intuition. Alignment creates clarity, and clarity creates impact, right? And that's where that. So as both an executive coach and soulpreneur, I believe deeply in anti-hustle, human-centered and conscious leadership. So building success that honors who you are and not just what you produce, right? It's about who you are, not what you do, and you can get value from that. It's very possible. So to everyone listening, as we step into a new year filled with fresh beginnings, bold changes, and intentional choices, Voices of Impact is evolving too. So I'll be sharing more personal reflections on here, deeper stories, and conversations that go beyond performance, right? So just like this, with purpose, alignment, and legacy. So I'm also in the process of creating a new community and also collaborating with Aude for leaders who are ready to slow down, reconnect, and lead from truth rather than pressure. More on that very soon. So if this episode resonated, please subscribe to Voices of Impact. Share with someone in navigating their next chapter and follow along for what's unfolding next. So thank you for your beautiful presence, wisdom, and the depth that you bring to this work. It's always a joy to be in conversation with you. And to everyone listening, here's to a new year. It's New Year's almost. So conscious leadership, meaningful growth, and creating impact from a place of alignment. All right, so I'll see you in the next episode and wishing everyone an abundant.
So lovely.